What's up, internet? Welcome back to my channel. We're back with another video. Okay, so today I want to talk about why I don't want to date, get married, or have kids as a millennial. Okay, my biggest reason for not wanting to date or get married is because I think there's about 3 or 4 generations of people who forgot their roles in a relationship. So now everything is just social media expectations and like things that you see on memes. Like that's what the standard for a what people think the standard of a relationship should be. um I think dating the way our parents and grandparents dated is obsolete, and we need a new social contract. First of all, a man's motivation to date is to have sex. Okay, marriage was only necessary to legitimize the having of the sex. Okay, and having babies out of wedlock was shameful, which led to the marriage. But once again, the ultimate goal for a man is still sex. Full stop. So let's start there and then let's unpack. Because of this shame that women once had, women tended to settle down pretty early so they won't be known as like the town bicycle. You know what I mean? People start looking at you funny when you're like 25 and you're not married back in those times and stuff. They start looking at you like, what's wrong with you? Um, and for a man, this was a good deal because you get, fresh in-house box. You can enjoy as much sex as you want and have the feeling and be able to know that your wife hasn't been ran through. You know what I'm saying? Because like nowadays, shit, by the time you 16, you damn near ran through. I mean, I graduated in 2007. I can get a lot of girls had to move to Texas and stuff because to find their husbands, and move to Austin, move to these little Idaho and stuff, find one of these weird dudes out there, because everybody in high school know what we was doing back in them days. But anyway, let me continue with the video. So you had the luxury of knowing that your wife or the girl that you're dating hasn't been ran through. You know what I mean? Those were the incentives to court and date a woman. You know what I mean? However, I think women have modified the contract, and so I think men should modify it too. I don't think women date to get married anymore. I think it's more so for free food and free entertainment for them, and basically hooking up. Depending on their mood, they can switch from being modest to sexually liberated, whichever is more convenient to them getting free shit or whatever it is that they want. You know what I mean? They also seem to have personal shame in their body counts, but they don't have societal shame. Like if a girl comes out and says, yeah, I want to have sex with 100 guys or whatever, she's not shamed for it or whatever. She can still get a husband. Most people in society aren't gonna like look down on her like how back in the 40s, like she might get shunned by society. She might not get invited to the parties because that's what she's known for. Don't nobody want their man around that type of woman. Anyway, they also don't have societal shame in having children out of wedlock. And once again, societal shame. Nobody turns and tells a single woman, like, looks down on them like, hey, something is wrong with you. You can't keep a man. You can't keep your family together. Da 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 da. Go watch my video I made on Vanessa Bryant and Sophia Lane. That's an interesting video. I kind of break down some further details about this point that I seen in that relationship. But anyway, so basically, if you're a millennial, like let's say you're a 36, 35-year-old millennial. I'm 36. But say you're a middle-aged man basically, and all the average man has to look forward to is used box by women with kids out of wedlock. They have no shame. They don't care that they ran through, and they don't care that they have a bunch of kids by a bunch of different babies and they were never married or whatever, or that they've divorced. They don't have shame in that either. So anyway, I think because of this change in the contract, women should pay 50-50 on dates, and or sex needs to be mandatory, in my opinion. That shouldn't even be something a woman should even be like thinking about. As soon as she knows she's going on a date, she should just already know, I'm giving up cheeks or I'm paying my way. That should be a standard in this new contract that we're about to make here. So basically, since there's no more shame in not being married, go ahead and get your rocks off. If he showed you a good time, why not? Don't tiptoe on both sides. Women have too much leeway to pick and choose when it's okay to be a skank versus when it's convenient to be modest. And I feel like we need to call them out on that every time, because that's part of what's destroying society. So now one of the more second larger reasons, the second thing that women need to do is to lower the expectations to zero. Yeah, I know that sounds drastic, but yes, zero. There should be absolutely no expectations. Like I said in the beginning of this video, man's motivation to date is sex. We don't care about the actual date. The marriage and all that other stuff, once again, that's all byproduct of us wanting to have sex. That whole experience is the woman's experience. That's what she's trying to attain. The man's goal is to get the draws. Okay? So since we established that the most a man is going to get is used box attached to out of wedlock babies and potential baby daddy drama, you need to be satisfied with coffee, a walk in the park, the taco truck by the gas station. Okay? You need to be satisfied with 50-50. That's fair. Okay? You need to be satisfied that any man is taking the effort to at least try. You know what I mean? Imagine being a middle-aged dog in a pound, growling at everybody who wants to pet you. Bitch, you better wag your tail and be happy that someone's in the building and trying to consider taking you home and considering taking on your trauma from the previous owner. Like, show some like thought process here. So the third reason, I think this is the last reason, but then you have the boss babes. Let me go ahead and humble them a little bit too. We have the boss babes who make 6 figures or close to it and want a man that makes more than them. Once again, get used to the fact that you're going to be the sugar mama, and you still need to let him be the man of the house. This is the biggest problem in American society, is that women think money gives them headship. I don't care who is paying the bills. The minute she decides to defy your orders and start saying things like, this is my house, just leave her. Just leave her. You don't need to be around her, letting her emasculate you. Then next thing you know, she's gonna be what's that girl, Remy Ma and stuff, thinking that it's cool to have threesomes with women and going off, well, I'm the breadwinner, I do what I want. No, don't let her even go down that road. Leave her. When she comes home from work, she should be giving you the check and letting you control the budget. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it's her money. If she wants to buy a new car and you tell her no, that's where the conversation ends. This might sound like an abusive or misogynistic relationship, but headship was normal before the 60s. And I feel like that's one of the things that needs to be bred back into women, and that might take 2 or 3 generations. You see what I'm saying? So also, most women don't do hard labor. So if they are able to earn 6 figures in an office with AC, they need to accept the fact that they are going to pay for a man. Okay? Especially if you're overweight and make 6 figures and are unattractive. Okay? Your ability to earn money doesn't equate to your ability to access to better guys. Does that make sense? That's something that women just haven't figured out at all yet. Like, it doesn't even register to them that you can't be a 300-pound chick and think that you're gonna get a guy on your level. That's not how things work. You might be able to attract an upper echelon bum with a nicer body like an ex-prisoner or something, but don't expect him to get a job and take care of you, etc. You need to go ahead and offer to buy the rings and pay for your own wedding. You need to go ahead and get him a PlayStation and accept that that's the best you can do in life. Okay? People make fun of the stay-at-home dads. Well, if you want to out-earn a man, let him stay at home with the kids. Boom. That's free healthcare. I mean, that's free child care. Don't resent him for not working if he can stay at home and be healthy and doesn't have to worry about falling off a roof or being injured in a warehouse for half your salary. What's the problem? We don't shame stay-at-home moms for doing the same thing. They don't do shit. The only difference is they don't play PlayStation. What's the difference? Okay? Especially when once again, we're talking about used box, out of wedlock babies. This is what you're bringing to the table. Overweight. You know, if you have 6 figures and you made it because you answered a couple emails and you're sitting on a computer all day, a lot of y'all even get to work from home a couple days a week. You know what I mean? Women don't work hard to be calling men bums for not having 6 figures because we don't want to go and break our backs in the oil fields to keep a fatty with used box happy. You know, it's a different world now. You want to be the breadwinner, you're going to be the breadwinner, but you also going to respect the headship no matter what you do. So let me give some examples of women accepting this new dating style. Accepting, you know, this is just a succinct proposal for all the researchers out there. But let me just give some examples of women who are already kind of getting hip to this lifestyle. Okay, you got Cher. Mind you, these are iconic women, so I don't really need to have a long list. You have Cher, Madonna, Erykah Badu, Tracee Ellis Ross, Nicki Minaj. Hell, you even got Oprah. Oprah is probably the OG of what I'm putting down right now. Okay, these women realize that they're old. They aren't going to find a man equally as successful to them, you know, to marry them or take care of them. You know what I mean? So they might as well let a young guy spend some of that money and provide him a lifestyle so you can have some companionship. Okay? It's no different than what a man does to get a woman. Once the dough goes, the hoe goes. If you ever heard that phrase. Look at Harvey Weinstein. Soon as he caught a charge, wife divorced him even though they had 2 and 3 kids together. Hey, let's keep it real. As long as you can provide, the woman will stay around. The minute you lose your job, fall down on bad luck, you gonna be a bum and all kind of whatever else she wants you to be, and she'll consider leaving you. That's just the nature of the beast. That's just how it goes. So I'm just proposing the opposite, you know. So another girl who I feel sorry for, but I think she's woke to these facts is, and this is very recent, Bad Baby. Now, I don't condone domestic violence or putting your hands on a woman, but Bad Baby has been a millionaire since the day she turned 18, okay? Obviously, she didn't date for marriage, and she has no shame in having a baby out of wedlock. This is the culture on display here. That she wasn't dating, she just seen a guy she liked and had his baby, basically. I don't know if they were dating or whatever. She basically had babies out of wedlock. Even though she's a millionaire, still can't manage to get the marriage part down pat, right? So this is the culture. Not only that, but she likes thugs and rappers, okay? Stuff like that. And she made a potentially fatal mistake by thinking that because she was the breadwinner, she was gonna control her baby daddy by constantly reminding him how broke he is and reminding him like whose car he's driving. You know, that type of stuff that girls do when they have more money, okay? And I've noticed there's a lot of videos of girls saying, oh, don't date a broke guy because they're going to treat you like crap. They're going to be jealous of you. No, 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 no. It's the fact that you forget the headship part. The minute that you get jealous or whatever, oh, don't forget who paid the bills. We don't want to hear. That's the quickest way to get two-piece. Okay? And I think this is what Danielle Bergroli, or I'm gonna call her Bad Barbie, Bad Baby, or whatever. I think this is what she figured out. Like, hey, you're crossing a line. You're not about to emasculate me because you made $50 million on OnlyFans flashing your little titties around. Like, you're not about to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not doing that. So, like I said, after getting her little self two-pieced and mollywop, she seemed like she's changing her tune. And she realized, like, hey, if I want to have a healthy relationship with a man, I can't be lording the money over his head and stuff. You know what I mean? I might need to learn my place so that I can raise my daughter in a two-parent environment. So my daughter doesn't grow up to be like how I was, 14 years old on TV, you know what I mean, arguing with Dr. Phil. Okay? You know, you shouldn't let money and stuff like that cause a child not to be able to be raised around its father. Just because, well, your father was a bum. Okay, but was he around? You know what I mean? Just because he didn't have a job, he can't see his kid. You see what I'm saying? That type of shit. Yeah, that gotta change. But anyway, then you have Haley Bailey, Sky Jackson, and Keke Palmer, right? Now, Halle Bailey's case, her and DDG make similar amounts of money. And their situation would have worked out better if they considered getting married. But no, she allowed herself to do what? Become a baby mama with no shame. You see, society didn't shame her and say, oh, girl, why you didn't get married first? How long have you been with him? Society didn't do that. They praised that little wide-eyed baby, you know. Anyway, now that poor kid, you know, has to grow up not knowing what it's like to have a healthy two-parent relationship, you know, or two-parent household. He's not even in kindergarten yet. So that cycle is going to continue. He's going to spend his whole life going to two different houses and having two different rooms and all of that. That's going to become normal to him. You see the problem here? Anyway, now in Keke Palmer's case, it seems like she settled down and she's back on good terms with her baby daddy. But she probably realized that if she wants the man to stick around, just respect his wishes when he tells you not to wear certain things, and don't embarrass him, like, you know, rubbing your booty on Usher and stuff. You know, if he had a problem with it, hey, don't embarrass the man. You know, don't emasculate him just because you make more money. Like, that's not going to work for you anymore. Then you have women like Monique. I don't really like her husband, and I think he's a weirdo. But unfortunately, for Monique, if she wants to keep a man and be a high earner, she's going to have to accept the bum and treat him like a king. Respect his headship. If you ever listen to her interviews with him, she takes it overboard with calling him daddy. But notice how she doesn't overtalk him or interrupt him or raise her voice with him. You know, that type of stuff. You know, then you have women like Vivica Fox, who just got a BBL at 60 years old, still clinging on to requirements. Just go ahead and buy the PlayStation, boo. Accept your fate. You know. So in conclusion, so for all the researchers out there that want to figure out how to reach men, you know, rather it's for population growth or our votes, we simply want more control over our women and our families. You know what I mean? If the woman wants to marry the state, then let the state get her pregnant and y'all can raise the kids. If a woman wants to marry a man, the state shouldn't intervene with a man's authority in civil matters. You know, when a woman calls the cops because their husband gave them a smack, the police need to assess if she deserved to be hit. Yeah, I said it. Because 9 times out of 10, she got hit because she knew she can call the cops, so she kept running her mouth. That's a problem in itself, too. Okay, in the 1940s, stuff like spousal abuse was considered a civil matter, and many people viewed it as more so a form of discipline. So, I'm not saying it was ever legal to like hit your wife, but it was understood in society that, hey, sometimes the chick get out of pocket, she might need a little shaking, little pressure on the windpipe. Okay, I'm joking. So basically the only way I would consider dating or marriage or having kids is if headship is fully restored and respected. You know what I mean? And I think that's only going to happen if we have, 3 generations of couples that can stick together and show the kids what a 2-parent household is supposed to look like, so that, women can be a little more chaste, people can have a little more common sense, a little more purpose, etc., etc., etc. So, anyway, hope that helps your research or whatever you're doing